So today I'm talking about a book called All These Beautiful Strangers. This is a new YA book that follows the investigation of a character called Charlie Calloway. So it begins with Charlie being invited into a super exclusive, super secret club within her prestigious boarding school. But not just anyone gets to be involved with the A's, the people who run this club. Those who are involved with it are basically the ruthless ones, the ones who don't mind and probably prefer to just stampede over everyone else to get what they want. So, you know, nice people. So, to become an A, as Charlie wants to be, she has to complete 3 tasks. I think they all involve theft, so that's the kind of level that they're working at, but everyone has different tasks involving different things that you probably shouldn't be doing. But in the meantime, while she's trying to become an A, she also gets dragged back in to the mystery surrounding her mother from 10 years previously, when her uncle on her mother's side gets back in contact with her because he is convinced that Charlie's mother didn't just disappear 10 years ago, she was murdered by her father. That's kind of the basics of this book. But my take on this book was I loved it. I loved the characters and I loved the plot, and I loved the way the plot was drawn out. It didn't throw everything at you at once, which a lot of sort of mystery young adults can do. I mean, they don't have very much to work. They don't have very many pages to work with. This is a thicker, slightly thicker book than the average young adult, so it has the time to draw things out, but at the same time, you're not there going, come on, please, I don't care anymore. So yeah, I really like the pacing of this book. The story is told from 3 different points of view. They are taken from Charlie herself, obviously she takes up most of the book, being the main character, her father and her mother. Both her parents, their points of views are taken from 10 years previously, before everything went wrong. In a way, it made it so much sadder to see how things led up to the way they ended, because you knew what was going to happen. But at the same time, I lived in hope right until the end, because I was like, please change it, I don't want to be right. But it's really interesting, and it really worked. Like, there was never a point where I wanted to go back to another point of view because I didn't care about the point of view I was on. I liked every single bit of it. Another thing that I really liked was I loved the characters, because there weren't really any characters to actually love in the book, if that makes sense. No one but a character called Grayson was really nice. Even he had his moments, but you know, he's the only one that you would really go with. And honestly, with all these characters, I'm surprised Charlie didn't have more of an abandonment issue, considering how often and how easily members of her family and her friends just kind of up and bailed on her, or just turned on her, like really aggressively in one scene. Not physically, just mean. And it was like, come on people, she's a 17-year-old kid who is trying her best. But people wanted her to be more than she was, and they wanted her to figure things out, and they wanted her to be on their side constantly. And she was just pushed and pulled in all sorts of different directions by different characters that, you know, you can kind of see why she is the way she is. But at the same time, I loved the fact that the characters were so black and white. Not black and white, so grey. They weren't black and white. And that just made them more interesting, because it's always interesting reading reading stories where you don't necessarily always like the characters. And it's good when the writer can still pull it off, that even though you're there going, I don't like any of you people, you will still enjoy reading about them and still want to know what happens. Another thing I love about this book is I really like Charlie's growth process throughout the whole book. She starts out very callous. All she wants to do is prove that she is cold and calculating and as ruthless as the older A's. And she is. She's psychologically very clever. She knows exactly how to manipulate people. She's not great with close relationships, and you can see that in her limited friendships and the fact that she kind of goes out of her way to avoid having a boyfriend, or any romantic relationship. She's just not interested. She kind of prides herself on the fact that she doesn't want anyone. But as the story grows, so does she. And she is forced to kind of take a very hard look at herself and the people around her and the environment around her, and decide, does she actually want to become these people? Like, does she want to be like these older A's and these adults that she surrounded her life with? Does she want to be this cruel, or does she want to change and make something more of herself? And it's interesting to see sort of just how she comes to the conclusion she does, and why where she goes benefits her, and why where she doesn't go just wouldn't benefit her life. No, it was interesting, and she has a long, drawn out, well designed arch, which I like. It means she grows. She was an interesting character. She wasn't completely flat. Hello doggy, how are you? My dog's here. You're gonna be a vlogger dog. You can be the Waterstones mascot, even if you hate people. But overall, good book. Really good book. I have cut this book down to the very bare bones of what it is in this review. There is so much going on in it. There's so many relationships, so many twists and turns, and just interactions between characters, and miscommunication, which I hate, and mistakes and mystery and emotional stuff. I mean, on top of the disappearance of her mum, yeah, there's a disappearance, but there's also a mysterious suicide, there's a ghost, there is friendships, relationships, school life, the war between teachers and students. That's what reminds me of my school. And yeah, loads more. There is a lot going on in 504 pages. Yeah, it's bigger than your average young adult book, but it needed that space and it worked. So yes, I would recommend this book for this month. It's also on our buy one get one half price deal, so you know, hint hint, go buy it. But yeah, this is the book that I wanted to review this month, because I really enjoyed it out of the ones that I read in July. So yeah, make it your August read. Anyway, until next month, bye!